Welcome, everyone. My name is David Kelly. I'm the Program Director for the eLearning Guild, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to another Twist Conversation. Today, I'm pleased to be welcoming Jeff Batt from Kinetic Media. Jeff, welcome, and thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And I know you're going to be joining us at DevLearn this October. You'll be doing a pre-conference workshop on responsive design using Adobe Edge Animate. And I know that responsive design is a growing topic that a lot of people in our field are interested in exploring. Can you tell me a little bit about why this is so important and the type of challenges that IDs in their current working environment encounter when they start looking at responsive design?
Well, a lot of the times when you're starting to do development, one of the issues that you run into is the multiple devices, especially in the mobile world. You're starting to develop for training for that will go on mobile applications, and the problem is you have mobile applications that have many different types of screen sizes. So when you're developing training as an instructional designer, trying to target those different mobile devices becomes a real pain. And especially you want to responsive design becomes very important when working or when developing the training, and the big thing about responsive design is having a target to the different devices, having a very customized learning experience, on your iPhone, and then having a different learning experience on your iPad or on an Android device or something like that. So when you're talking about it and you want to create this training or you're developing the training, I think responsive design in today's world is very important. And something like, there's tools out there that help you do it, like Adobe Edge Animate and other tools, just HTML5 or even now Captivate, the new Captivate does responsive design.
So now, you mentioned Adobe Edge Animate, and I know you're going to be delving into that in depth during your workshop. And two aspects of this question. First off, can you give me an idea of the type of things, the type of e-learning that I can do, what I can do differently using a tool like Adobe Edge Animate that using a rapid development tool I probably wouldn't be able to do? What sort of new functionality, if I started adding this to my tool belt, could I start introducing into e-learning that I create? And the other aspect of that is, I apologize if I got to ask this in the intro question. Before you answer that question, tell us a little bit about yourself. If I got to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself.
Yeah, no worries. I have been in the e-learning realm for over 10 years. I started out as with Rapid Intake, which was an e-learning software tool, which is now Litmus Author by Calidus Cloud, and I designed and developed software for them. And then I moved over to eLearning Brothers, where I was the their template library project manager. So I worked on a bunch of templates and developing templates and different tools like Storyline and Lectora, Captivate, and so we focused on that. And now I'm with Kinetic Media, which we have a lot of online training and tutorials, as well as I'm the lead e-learning producer for my church, the LDS Church, as well. So now for the development-wise, why Edge Animate is so important, that you can't do some of the things that you can't do outside of regular rapid e-learning tools. I like to think of it as the sky's the limit. When I first started out as e-learning in the e-learning realm back with Rapid Intake, that's when Flash was the biggest tool to be able to go beyond what was capable inside of an authoring, animations and stuff. The developer would go in and they would develop that and use Flash to develop those types of things. And Flash made it a whole lot easier. It was a WYSIWYG environment. You can place out the stuff without knowing something like CSS. You can place it right inside of the stage area. And then you could actually go in and use ActionScript to program pretty much whatever you want. Now, when that Flash went away and it started dying down after Steve Jobs wrote that letter and everything, Adobe came out with. I was wondering what Adobe was going to do, because I knew they weren't just going to sit by the wayside and just let that happen. Well, soon after that, Edge Animate, they released a very early preview of Edge Animate, which is very similar to Flash, and it allows you to place content without using CSS on your device or on the stage, and then program that and use JavaScript instead of ActionScript to basically program whatever you want. So it gave the flexibility that Flash had before, and it allows you to pretty much program anything. So to me, using something like, and it's only increased since then, Edge Animate has only gotten better, but it gives you the flexibility pretty much to create anything. And so you're not tied to any type of restriction or not waiting for the next software update from a rapid e-learning tool. You can do point-to-point animations. You can do drag and drop stuff. You can pretty much whatever you can come up or whatever you can think in your mind, you can create inside of Edge Animate.
Now, in giving me that description, you used a word that I know can wreak terror in the average instructional designer. You used the programming word.
Yeah.
Most instructional designers use rapid development tools that are the WYSIWYG environment, that I just, there's no coding required, I just have to move things around and very intuitive. But you said programming, and for a lot of instructional designers, they freeze up when they hear that word. Can you give me an idea of how much coding do I really need to know in order to use a tool like Edge Animate?
Well, that's one of the beauties about the new features or the new updates of Edge Animate is you really don't need to know a whole lot. Now, I'm still an advocate for learning programming, at least some basic programming, because that allows you to go beyond. And it's really, if I can learn it, in my opinion, someone else can learn it. I was not the best learner in school or anything, but it just takes a little bit of dedication, and if you do learn a little bit, or if you spend a little time, you can learn some basic concepts. But going back to Edge Animate, you don't have to learn HTML. You don't have to learn CSS. You can do all of that within the WYSIWYG environment like you could inside of Flash. Now, Edge Animate and the new add some functionality without you even knowing what that functionality is doing behind the scenes. And so all you have to do is click a button, and then when you click a button, now you have a swipe event, so that something can happen on that swipe event, or you can jump to a certain part of the timeline, and all you had to do was click like a couple buttons there. Now it's better if you understand what the code is doing, because then you can go in and you can manipulate it a little bit more. But really, to create some pretty cool interactions and some cool animations, you don't need to know any programming for Edge Animate. But again, going back to, I'm a very big advocate for learning, because then you can enhance it a little bit more, the programming, and does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I'm sorry, you froze up for a little bit of a second there, so that's why I was hesitating. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem.
Now, so it sounds like one of the things that's beneficial about the Edge Animate is the fact that it's almost a bridge where you don't have to. It's not a full-fledged coding environment where everything is hard-coded. There's still some WYSIWYG environments to it, but it's got a nice blend where you start to dabble in code, which I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by this idea of I can't code from scratch. I use these tools, where it's a nice blend with the tool that you're talking about now.
Yeah, exactly. So you go in, and that's exactly how Flash was. You could do a lot of animations, and you can do a lot of layouts and different types of interactions right inside of Flash without knowing any type of action script. Well, Edge Animate's the same way. You can do a lot in the WYSIWYG environments. You can have a whole animation without even touching any line of code. But then it's the bridge, like you said, because it allows you to then start dabbling a little code, or just go into their code area and click a button that says, go to this certain location. They click on that, and you see the code in the code environment, and so you can actually see, okay, well, that's what that does. Okay, this is the code that this, and so it kind of helps you learn the code as you start working with the tool. But even before that, you can still do a lot of stuff right inside of there without even knowing the code.
Excellent. And is this a replacement? So if I use a typical rapid authoring tool like Captivate, Storyline, Lectora, or one of the others, am I stopping using that and moving to Edge Animate? Do they work together in some way? Is that some? Is there a blend to the multiple tools that I'll be using?
That's a great question. That's a question that I actually, that comes up a lot when I'm teaching Edge Animate. They're like, people initially think, well, do I have to stop using Captivate, or do I have to stop using Storyline? And my answer to that is no. And in fact, this actually enhances your Storyline. It enhances your Captivate, and you can actually the Edge Animate interaction that you've built and you export it, it exports HTML files. So it's just a normal HTML that you could place on a website somewhere, and then you can support that, and it's really simple to do inside of the new Captivate 8. It's really simple to do inside of Storyline as well. It's a simple web object, and then it places it right there, and then the learner doesn't even know that it was built somewhere else. And so when they go to that page, they can have this awesome animation, awesome interaction, and then they think that it was built in. Sometimes you may want to not use those rapid development tools. Sometimes you may want to have just a simple game out there and still make it trackable. Well, that's the nice thing about is that you can integrate Tin Can, you can integrate, you know, Ristici's Scorm Wrapper, and so you can still have Scorm 1.2 or 2004. You can do that pretty easily inside of Edge Animate, and then it will track and it will score. You can send a score over for a game and everything. So really, you can use it inside of a rapid development tool, or you can just use it standalone by itself. And so it's really that flexible, being able to choose either one, use it within the tool, or just use it by itself there. So.
Excellent. Well, I know you're also going to be diving into this topic in greater detail in your workshop at DevLearn. Can you tell me a little bit about the workshop? If I'm going to be attending the workshop in October, what's my day going to look like? So give me an idea what my day would look like as a workshop participant.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about how to install Edge Animate, so the basics, just getting it up and going, starting a new project, actually, you know, talking about the user interface, what you can do, types of things that you can create right within Edge Animate, how to bring in Photoshop files, how to bring in Illustrator files, how to build your stage, the content in your side of your stage. We're going to then talk about different animations, how you would animate your object. On this is how you would create a button, how you would actually animate that button, or how you have something happen when that button is clicked or anything like that. And then we'll get into more responsive stuff. And so we'll talk about, you know, Edge Animate. There's a difference between scalable and responsive. Scalable will actually just take the content and make it larger or smaller to fit your device, but responsive actually changes it so you get a different experience on a phone than you would a tablet. And I think that's the key with responsive, and we're going to dive into that, how you would do that inside of Edge Animate. By default, it's just scalable, but with a little simple tweaking, we could actually make it responsive and give the learner a different experience on a phone than they would, and then another experience on the tablet. And so we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about even enhancing it a little bit more with like green sock animation stuff and other things that you could tie in to really even you know, make Edge Animate even that more powerful. So.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of good learning for people that are going to be there. If you want to learn more about Jeff's workshop or any of the workshops that are going to be going on at DevLearn, please do visit our website, DevLearn14.com. The DevLearn Conference and Expo takes place October 29th through 31st, with workshops taking place the 27th and 28th. Jeff's workshop, as an example, will be taking place on Tuesday, October 28th, as part of the DevLearn Conference and Expo. So we're really looking forward to having that be a part of it. Jeff, I want to thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me this morning.
No problem. Thank you.
And we will see you next time on Twist Conversations. Take care, everyone. Thanks very much.